The rise and fall of Big Meech is tragic. What up, words? Your boy Charles Brown back again, talking facts. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep sending those Cashaps to CLBMG gang. Listen, I know this is a touchy issue, and I'm going to approach this with kid gloves, but I do have to address this. I do need to talk about this because this is actually bigger than just Big Meech, Little Meech, 50 Cent, Southwest T. This is bigger than them. They are all part of a system, part of a plan, and they're caught up in it. But I want to discuss it because this needs to be broke down to a degree. Big Meech is 56 years old. Big Meech is alleged to have made at least $200 million in his career as an organization. The BMF Black Mafia family, started by Demetrius and Terry, the Flannery brothers. I hope I said that right. They were from Detroit, and they set up shop in Atlanta and LA. That's a long story made very short, and brought in millions. They ran their organization like a well-oiled corporation. They had levels. They had CEOs, CFOs, middle management, and they were very intelligent. This thing was not run like we just out here grinding on the block. You had a certain level of intelligence and direction, and these guys did not do this willy-nilly. The cops were watching them for at least 10 years before they had enough evidence to bring the organization down. BMF is looked at as a legend in many communities, urban communities, many cities where the population is people of color. BMF and others are looked at as legends, as well as Big Meech. There are songs about Big Meech. There are artists such as Young Jeezy who have their careers thanks to Big Meech and BMF. And a lot of rappers try to emulate the BMF style, brand, and brashness. And this is where we are today, where a lot of jewelry is being consumed, a lot of clothing, high fashion, and a lot of alcohol is being purchased. There will be many stories about this famed crew, and rightfully so. What they did was, it would have been acceptable to a degree in corporate America. Who knows, even if they got in corporate America, maybe some of these tactics would have still been looked at as illegal. But their whole brand, the way they started their business was kind of always going to be in question. I believe the brother Terry received a settlement from a botched eye surgery, and he put it into a sedan company, a black sedan. He was but he was renting sedans and cars. It was a legit business because he got the money from the botched surgery, the eye surgery he was in a shootout. He was watching a shootout, and allegedly his eye was grazed by a bullet. Took that money and put it into the black sedan rental business, and they started to funnel their drug money through the sedan company, which is smart. Meech is around my age. He's a few years older than me. And I was in the same situation. I am from DC. I grew up in DC and Maryland, in that area. And I was tempted by the same vices that Big Meech ultimately became rich from, but as time went on, they led to his demise, the drug game. And a lot of us were teased, and in essence, we were lured by the money and things of that nature in the drug game, and as was Meech. The only difference with me and Meech that I can actually say is I knew from the time I was very young and was enticed by that. And when I actually did get involved, I always knew I never wanted to be a quote unquote kingpin. I knew that was not going to be my life. So whatever I did and dabbled in, I always knew in the back of my mind, do not get lost in this. This is only going to be a few years of your life and then you're moving forward. I knew it. So a lot of things I just would not do. That is not the case for Terry and Demetrius, because I had my own brother who thought the same way as Demetrius, and he faced a demise a little worse than Demetrius because now he is in a box. He's been underground for over 10, 15 years, doing the same thing that Big Meech has done. But I say all that to say, this is how we looked at these people in the 80s. They started this business in the 80s, 85, around that time. That's when many of us got our start. Many of us started to get into the drug game, the drug business around 85, 86, 88, 89. And some of us were out of it by the 90s, but some of us, like Big Meech, made it a lifestyle. They had homes in different cities. They had cars. These were the people that were looked up to. And for a time, it was very good. We looked up to people like Meech. These people's names rang bells all across the country. We were always reminded who was the biggest dealer at the time, who was the biggest thing in the city. In my city, it was Rayful Edmonds. And who was the meanest gangsters. In my city, it was Wayne Perry. People like that, right? Every city had them. Everybody knows them. And they're revered for their ruthlessness or their ability to make money. And I knew guys on lesser levels. The money was the easy part, gang. Just gonna be honest. The money was so easy to make in the 80s and early 90s. I knew a guy named Feli Rob who used to have so many trash bags, the big hefty bags of money. He started leaving them at his girlfriend's house who lived around my neighborhood. He had so much money that he was leaving hefty bags of cash in her closet along with his felines, because he was Feli Rob, right? Okay. And it was crazy, gang. You've never seen nothing like this. I don't think it'll ever be like this again. Easy to get caught up in that. And I believe Big Meech got caught up in the glamour and glitz. But I also think that the tragedy of this, because the story sounds pretty good so far. Money in trash bags, women, these elusive, eclectic parties they're throwing. They're rubbing elbows with the rappers. But see, the problem with this whole thing, and I'm going to get to 50 Cent, Lil Meech, Big Meech, Rick Ross. I'm going to get to that. I know a lot of you want to get there. We're going to get there. But this is a story. The glamour of that leads to what people would say now, the word clout. Big Meech has, for years, it would appear, has been seduced by clout. At one point, they were having billboards in every major city said, the world is BMF, promoting their music entertainment company, their artists like Young Jeezy, and I believe Blue Da Vinci is another artist, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of people were buying into this lifestyle. They were making a lot of videos. Just when YouTube was out, was just becoming popular, and they were making videos talking about, we really live this life. A lot of you guys are faking like you're rich. We really got this money. And it became a drug to appear and show your wealth and be super duper, for lack of a better word, gangster. And rap became the hub. Rap at one point became so over gangsterized that you weren't even going to get any play unless your music was overly gangsterized. I'm just going to be honest. At one point, if you weren't rapping about that, they weren't listening to you. If you weren't rapping like Jay in his prime, they weren't listening to you. You had to be cocky. You had to be demonstrative. You had to be extremely dismissive of anybody that didn't have money. You had to be misogynistic to a degree. And you had to actually show the world how willing you were to harm someone else to show that you were tough. We were living in a society where it was almost, it became desensitized. And we revered the hardest rappers, right? Right. When DMX came in the game, right? Loved him immediately. DMX came in the game, get at me, dog. The game shut down because they knew X was a real one, and we knew it. You could tell. And the game, his name was good everywhere, every jail. Everyone knew that this guy is legit. You never heard a bad word about X. And that was the epitome of the game, where you had Jada, you had Styles P, you had Joel Santana, you had Freaky Zeke, Jim Jones, you had Beanie Siegel, everybody out of Philly. It just became only the real dudes that really spit a level of gangsterism. And then you went down south, you had the whole No Limit, you had Cash Money, you had BMF, of course. You had different levels of skill set, but they were all pretty much saying the same thing. I get big money. Don't play with me. I am extremely real when it comes to these, to what I'm representing. And if you think that it's real, if you think that it's not real, run up and see what happens. That was the pervasive thoughts in hip hop at the time. And for a time, it was good. And we ran with it. Quite a few of us, even MCs like me, changed our style a little bit, to be honest, to fit, not even to just fit in. It just was a more acceptable moment to just put an edge on your rhyme. Even if you were a extremely talented MC with the bars, a lot of the like really retrospective and introspective and conscious stuff wasn't working. Wasn't going to work. You had to put an edge on it or you were not getting heard. And a lot of us did that. And for a time, like Will Smith said, he called it the dark ages. Will Smith said it and he was right. It was a dark time in rap. A lot of us were getting shunned or shut out unless we changed our style to fit what was going on. And this is what it was. And a lot of people like Young Jeezy rose, Lil Boosie rose. There were a lot of tougher crews, right? And yeah, the people like Outkast, even though Outkast spit that same stuff, but Outkast had they had both sides of it. Goody Mob, they were conscious and they were hood at the same time. So people loved them for everything that they brought to the table, but they still had that same edge, right? It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't no happy-go-lucky. Everything had an edge at the time, and BMF was one of the reasons that this was going on. I remember hearing about BMF. I think it may have been a Source magazine or something, and they did a story on BMF. I didn't know who these guys were. I'm just gonna be honest. Why would I? I'm not from down there, so I don't know them. And it started to become, this is the new wave. These guys got tigers in cages. They're doing parties with like hundreds of people there, and it just, these are massive. They're throwing $1 million parties down there. Diddy's there, like everybody's coming, and it became, these are the realest in the game, and y'all better catch up. And so what I'm saying, at that time in hip hop, it became the drug dealers were starting to run hip hop. They were giving bags of money to DJs to play the records. They were giving radio programmers money. And some of them DJs was getting beat up. It was really a rough time in hip hop, right? If you weren't competing with that, you probably weren't in this game like you thought. Like a lot of people give Kanye a lot of credit for breaking through with his style and restoring it where you could be a different type of artist. And that's true to a degree. I mean, you've always had the underground is going to have what it have, and people are going to survive regardless, right? But they're not going to elevate. Like you're gonna have your Tribe Called Quest, you're gonna have your De La Soul. So they're always going. They're timeless. They're going to survive. And let's be honest, even De La Soul and Tribe had to put a little edge on their stuff. If we just gonna be honest, right? So rap had gotten really, really like everybody everywhere was street, and BMF was taking advantage of that and moving the needle to be where they wanted it to be. I say all that to say 50 Cent and people like that flourished because of the imagery of people with the money of a BMF. Everybody was trying to look like these guys. They were trying to compete with these guys. When you went to Atlanta, this was it. You had to, if you weren't good with these guys, then you probably weren't good down there at all. So they were running things on a lower level. They weren't, you can be the biggest thing in hip hop, but when you come across their part of town, then you're in their part of town. And you got to move accordingly, right? So I say all that to say this, BMF and Big Meech for years, from 85 when they started it all the way to 2000, 2005, they had it locked. It was very, very, like 03. And that span of time allowed them to get a foothold. But at the same time, that span of time allowed them to build such clout that they were easier to watch. A lot more phones are getting tapped. Like I told you, they had about 500 people on the payroll. So it became a monstrative organization that now you got too many eyes on you. You're throwing these lavish parties. You're making this money up and down. You got these connections with the Colombians, and you're bringing in weight. You got, you know what I'm saying? You're distributing this stuff across the entire United States. They had several agencies. It wasn't just one or two. They had several agencies at all times watching this unfold. And I truly believe this could have been an organization that never was taken down if they had not decided they wanted to be the biggest thing in rap. I feel like jumping into rap as an entertainment organization put way too many eyes on them that they didn't need, and put way too much of their business in the street. And I feel like getting into the entertainment business may have been a mistake. For the first mistake Big Meech made, and his brother Terry, who the brother Terry is reported to be the brains of the operation, where he didn't want a lot of attention. He wanted the money. But I feel like Big Meech, when you look at all the accounts, wanted the attention. He was much flashier and much more daring to show the money he was making. This is just as according to reports. So I feel like where we are right now today is a branch off of the flashiness that Big Meech has already shown to have a penchant for, right? Just gonna be honest. So what I'm saying is this. Big Meech ends up going to prison. One way or another, he ends up in jail. He does, and I remember when he got arrested, it was a whole thing, and they were writing articles and think pieces, and Big Meech could have ran, but he didn't. He chose to stay and fight. And a lot of people had a lot of things to say. But when it all said and done, Big Meech went to prison. He went to prison with his head up high. And most people respected Big Meech. His name was ringing bells. You had songs coming out. Rick Ross's song, I Think I'm Big Meech, Larry Hoover, was a testament to Big Meech's relevance and respect in the streets. So I say all that to say this. From behind bars, Big Meech was still in touch with everyone involved with what's going on in the street. So I feel like him getting arrested was a big downfall, but it wasn't the end of the story. Just like when, what's that kid's name who went to prison from New York. I'm literally drawing a blank right now. But he went to prison, and his name was crazy good when he was in prison. Everybody was like, he's a stand-up guy. He did 7 years. He did an extra year for his man. And it's Bobby Shmurda is the name I'm thinking of. And everybody was free Bobby Shmurda. They were doing songs with him while he was in prison and everything like that there. But when Bobby Shmurda came out and tried to jump back in the music game, the vibe was different. And it was no longer cool to not say support Bobby Shmurda, but to emulate Bobby Shmurda. And it became a thing where people were almost clowning Bobby Shmurda because he came out and it just seemed like a different guy, right? I'm just going to be honest. It felt like a different guy. The music didn't hit like it was supposed to. And they were kind of using him as a cautionary tale. Don't be like Bobby Shmurda. I really can't tell you 100% why it happened like that. I have my suspicions, right? I have my suspicions, but there were a lot of things that were said and a lot of people that disagreed how Bobby Shmurda was now dancing, and he seemed to be just way too happy. He wasn't the same guy that went in, according to a lot of people. So what I'm saying is, when you're behind bars, your public image can be extremely different than when you get out. So I say all that to say this. When Big Meech was behind bars, 50 Cent decided that that respect and that love and that story needed to be told. 50 Cent then approached Stars with the BMF story, which no one knew was going to be a series. They didn't know. They just said he approached Big Meech about telling his story. Contracts and stuff got drawn up for his life story, just like Snowfall. But they say John Singletary stole Snowfall from the real Rick Ross and cut him out of it, which I don't know to this day why he did that. They say John Singleton took his story as much as he can get from him and then just kind of cut him out of it. And I don't know why you wouldn't just leave him and work with him and pay him. I still to this day don't know why he did that. But 50 Cent went, got all this information from Big Meech, the inside story. You saw him shaking hands and da-da-da. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know. Like, no one, like, outside of hip-hop, BMF is not a household name. But what 50 did was he just told a story of it. And what he did was he got his son, his real-life son, Lil Meech, who was not an actor, but 50 paid for him to have acting classes. He believed in this kid, and he wanted this kid to be in the movie. Ice Cube's son they didn't even guarantee Ice Cube's son to play Ice Cube in the movie. Ice Cube's son had to go to acting classes, and Ice Cube's son had to rehearse, and he had to audition for the movie. Eazy-E's son was not chosen to play Eazy-E, so it's not a given. They don't just give you these roles, but somehow 50 put this kid in acting classes, gave him a year and a half of work to get himself together. He encouraged him. And he became almost like in my opinion, a big brother figure or a father figure to Lil Meech. And I feel like Lil Meech became very fond of 50. Now, Big Meech is behind bars, and 50 says to this day that he feels Big Meech felt a way that their relationship was a little too chummy, a little too close. And it's possible. You're behind bars and you can't help your kid, and this guy's doing everything for your kid. He's putting your kid on TV and in movie, whatever. And this kid is blowing up. $10,000 jeans on. He's got watches that cost $100,000. This kid is looking great out here. He's becoming the man out here thanks to 50 Cent. Big Meech is still in prison, but I'm assuming he's somehow getting paid for his story. Now, fast forward through all of that, the BMF shows blowing up. A lot of people are in tune with who he is. So now he's almost a god out here in these streets for dealing drugs and making a lot of money while doing so. Push comes to shove and time passes on. Big Meech gets released from prison. The free Big Meech story is told, and now he's out. Now, you see pictures of 50 Cent and Big Meech shaking hands, hugging. He's now home, and now we're going to do some more business. Got a lot of stories to tell. Tammy Cohen is his associate, business associate of Big Meech. She does a lot of the back and forth. And she, I believe, consults on the show and a lot of things of that nature. She does a lot of business for Big Meech. So we get to the part where Big Meech is out and Tammy Cohen, for some reason, is now getting allegations that she helped cooperate with some agents to arrest some other people. Now, this only comes out after 50 kind of gets a little scorched earth when he sees Big Meech, who is now free, and deciding to do a show to celebrate him being home and to put some money in his pocket. Now, when he books this show, for some reason, he books Rick Ross, who is 50 Cent's mortal enemy, which I, in essence, believe that was a mistake because there's way too much money on the line to poke a bear like 50 Cent over one show. I just personally think it was a bad move, no matter how you feel about it. I think it was ill-advised. And I think Rick Ross knew exactly what he was doing when he did it. He loves poking 50. He doesn't care who gets caught up in the middle. Now, when we see the picture come out, we know there's going to be some backlash, and the backlash was swift. 50 Cent goes straight online and pretty much blasts him and his son, Lil Meech, who he helped put on and give him work. He actually had this kid going at his own son at one point because that's how close he felt he was to 50 Cent. 50 Cent now has unfollowed Lil Meech on social media, which triggered Lil Meech to come back with a text saying, "I can't believe you don't follow me. You're now managing my man." I believe his name is Skrilla, something like that, who I brought to you in the first place, and you're treating me like an enemy, and I would take my shirt off my back for you. My dad needed some bread from Ross, and that's why he's in the picture. But F Ross, you my man, 50 grand, and this can be resolved. We just need to get on the phone. Basically, 50 is like, yeah, I'm good on that, and I'm good on that show. So you ain't got to worry about next season of BMF because it ain't no next season. 50 is super petty. Now, I believe 50 operates under a code where if you stand by my enemy for any reason, then you are my enemy. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I believe that Rick Ross knew that. And I believe that Rick Ross, I'm just going to be honest, loves the attention. And doesn't matter the collateral damage. I'm just going to be honest, and I'm not the only one who said this. I also heard, I think it was maybe Tony Yayo or Charleston White or May have been Whack 100. But most people agree that if 50 real, if Rick Ross really was Big Meech friend, he would have been like, we don't need no videos out in the public. I'll be at the show. Because I know this dude you're getting money with is petty. And if I take a picture with you or do a video with you, he's going to lash out. He might drop you don't know, he's unpredictable. You, my man, I want you to eat. This is real nigga talk. I don't know about the other shit y'all be talking about, right? I don't know. I know it's a lot of sucker ass motherfuckers out here on earth. But real nigga shit, I'm talking real nigga stuff right now. Real man stuff, I'm sorry. Real grown man stuff right now. A grown man like myself, I would be like, bro, listen, we don't need no pictures. I'm going to do my part at the show. I'm going to come do the show for you because you got a lot of money on the line over there. Your son's over there. I want y'all to eat. I'm not going to take no video with you. Do no laughing picture like, yo, they know I'm going to be there. My name's on the flyer. It's real man stuff. So I think Ross purposely did this because he knew it was going to happen. It's just me. That's how I see it, gang. I know everybody not going to agree with my perception, but I feel like Ross used Big Meech for a photo op to once again one-up 50 Cent, no matter what the cost was going to be to Big Meech. You may say, Charles, who cares about 50 Cent, about a picture? Well, when your son is saying to me, my dad only got a little bit of bread to get our money right until the season starts again, as if your father's waiting for the new season or you two can't eat. So you're getting money from Rick Ross, then it ain't so cut and dry no more. You should care what 50 thinks. If you're waiting on the bag that he provides, you shouldn't tempt it with a video of Rick Ross who's doing almost next to nothing. And even if he did kick you some bread, it's nowhere near the $5 million you made already. Just gonna be honest, gang. It's real man talk right now. I don't know the childish stuff y'all say online, but at the end of the day, Rick Ross should have fell back. Because now he took the show away. He dropped the kid. The kid is out here. I'm just going to be honest, gang. They have a video of Lil Meech offering his service to anybody who wants it. Basically on some, I'll promo you, you pay me. He's out here scrambling, gang. Trying to hustle his fame to the lowest bidder. Some people say he's panhandling right now. I don't know if this is true, that there is a GoFundMe. Now, this could be, I have no idea, but 50 Cent put up a GoFundMe for Big Meech. I don't believe it's true. It might be true, it might not. But the fact that there's even the thought that it could possibly be true, where I could even say, certain people, you're going to say, you know it ain't true, but I don't know what's going on over there. Because Lil Meech was basically begging 50 Cent to be back in his good graces. Now, where we are with that means, to me, and I'm just going to say this respectfully as I can, Big Meech kind of let his son down in a way where they're out here now trying to do shows to get their bread up. I'm just going to be honest. I would hope that Big Meech has bags on top of bags somewhere of cash, that they're good after making $200 million in street money. And you're going to say, well, Charles, the government sees their money, da-da-da. I understand all of that. But at this point, your name cachet is massive. Your brand is massive. And when I brought up Tammy Cowan, now the brand is in trouble Because now after 50 Cent was angered, he's claiming that Tammy Cowan has documents proving that Big Meech helped incarcerate people to accrue his freedom early. And it only didn't happen because Tammy Cowan slept with the prosecutor and got caught. Had she not done that, allegedly, these documents and other forms of telling would have gotten Big Meech out earlier. I don't know anything about that. I have no idea, but I'm just telling you, this is where we are from a multi-million-dollar organization in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s to down where pretty much squabbling online with 50 Cent. We're pretty much denying accusations of snitching. And the son is online trying to leverage his fame for people to use him as promotion.
What up, though? Boss of all bosses. And today I'm coming to tell all my supporters, if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, whatever you got, you trying to make it go up, hit me right now.
Where he was making a lot more money on the show. All of this is over one picture of Rick Ross. The show was, the Welcome Home Meech show was canceled, allegedly because the ticket sales were extremely low. All the rappers on the show were doing it for free. And they still couldn't sell the tickets. What I'm saying to you is a lot of us in the 90s who revered this hardcore thug, gangster, hustler mentality, we had it wrong. We had it very wrong. We thought this was what it was. We thought this was what you wanted to be. This super thugnificent image now in 2025 has proven to be wrong. And the purveyors of that message are looked at as failures. I'm just going to be honest. The guy that went to work, had a 9 to 5, probably is running that company at this point. And all of them hustlers, I don't know not one who went from 2005 or 2090, I'm sorry, from 1995, 2005, 2015, 2025 is still in that same predicament that he was when he was the big Dondada selling them bricks. So the whole image needs to be thrown away. A lot of these guys are coming home to nothing. They got a million stories. They can make money off these stories, gang, but they're coming home to nothing. Absolutely nothing. And you may believe, I don't know if Meech, he claims he had nothing. He never said anything, and hopefully that's the truth. I don't care about any of that. What I do care about is a lot of our young males are still trying to live this lifestyle. At the time when we did this stuff, gang, we had almost nothing. We were broke. Broke is not the word I could describe the black community in 1980 and 81 and 82 when we started to get these different, it was not even, it's not the same, gang. You have no idea what we were living through. But now you have way more opportunities to straighten up your hat and get your back together. The drug game ain't it. And Big Meech and his brother are living proof that that's not what you want to do. I'm just going to be honest. They are living proof, and I am living proof because I did the opposite. Yes, we dabbled and dipped into that in the 90s. But at the same time, when I saw it, like Al Pacino says, when you see the heat coming around the corner, you need to be able to get out of there in 30 seconds or less. But that's what I had to do with my life. I understood where it was going. Some of them didn't. And yeah, Meech and a lot of these people will be legends in this game. They will have these names that will ring bells. Freeway, Ricky, Ross, and all these guys. But at the same time, they lost 20, 30 years of their lives chasing these bags to end up with nothing. Freeway Ricky Ross would tell you himself, he was absolutely destitute for years when he got out of prison. Destitute, broke. I think he went to live back with his mom or something crazy like that. I can't say for sure. So I say all that to say Big Meech is a cautionary tale, because even if Meech is sitting on $1 million, for one, it doesn't look like it. And for two, these allegations are getting in the way of his real life legacy. And you can't have allegations if you're not in the game in the first place. There's no one to snitch on if you're not a player yourself. If you understand what's waiting for you at the end of the rainbow, then you won't even get on the ride to get to the end of it. His son is out here begging another man to give him another chance instead of going to his father. His son is copying pleas for him, saying he only took the bag from Ross because we're waiting on season 4 to start filming so we can start eating again. That, to me, gang, I'm just going to be honest, is absolutely sad. For your father to be this smart and this much of a legacy, you need to be turning to him, and you two need to figure this out. A lot of people are blaming 50 for being petty, and it's not about 50 at all. It's about that man and his son putting their heads together and making some moves like they did when he was the man. I need to see Big Meech do better. He should never be online answering out. He should have never been online in the first place. I feel like these guys who come out of prison shouldn't even be on social media. But he should never be online explaining that he never told. You shouldn't even have to address something so ridiculous. I feel like Big Meech needs to fall back. I feel like he still might be, to a degree, still looking for clout. And I don't think clout in 2025 pays the way people think it does. I think real work pays. I think getting out here and finding some real hustles that's legal is what Big Meech and Lil Meech need to do. They need to put 50 in their rearview mirror. And if Ross is that much of an ally, they need to see what he's really going to do. I didn't like the story of, I believe it was Lil Meech was mad that Lil Baby came through with cash in his pockets and he didn't give them any. I don't like stories like that because it's sending the wrong message. You shouldn't need rappers to give you anything. You invented that lifestyle. These rappers shouldn't have to give $1 to Big Meech. Big Meech is going to find his way, and Lil Meech is going to be right behind him. So salute to you two. You're going to figure it out. I feel like right now you're still trying to social media this thing because you're still doing subliminals and sending social media messages. I don't think that's what needs to be done right now. Your legacy is way too huge for what you've done in these streets, right, wrong, or indifferent. And you need to change the narrative because the legacy is not of a good thing. You were smart. You ran a corporate structure. So now put that brain to use in a legal way. There are so many legal ways to do this where you can put that mind state, that CEO mind state, and you can set you and your son up for the rest of your life. Let's move away from this legacy of destruction and death and move toward a more positive legacy. And the bickering online ain't it. Trying to one-up 50 Cent ain't it. That's his thing. Let him do that. Find your lane. And until then, this story of Big Meech is going to be tragic. It's going to be a story of a man and his son still trying to maneuver what to do in 2025. I'm going to leave it at this, man. I don't have nothing bad to say, and I hope I didn't offend anybody. I didn't do anything or say anything that should make you upset. I'm just speaking my opinion, and I feel like something in there should be making sense. Let me know what you think in the comments. CLBMG, do you feel like Big Meech story is tragic, or do you feel like it's a great story? And what did he do wrong? Let me know. All right? CLBMG. I'm going to catch y'all on that flip side. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine.
CLB.